Chlorine dioxide. Apart from sounding like something that belongs in a test tube, what else do you know about this chemical compound? It's one of the most effective disinfectants available worldwide. Yet there is so much misinterpreted information and confusion regarding its properties, behavior, and abilities. Well, it's time to finally debunk the myths surrounding it and understand the truth about chlorine dioxide. Chlorine dioxide is a disinfectant that can destroy a wide variety of nasty bacteria, viruses, mold, and algae, or, while we're being sciencey, pathogens. It consists of chlorine and oxygen, forming a yellowish-green gas. Doesn't sound nice, but it's better than you think. Chemists prepare it by oxidizing sodium chloride with chlorine. But take my word for it, don't try this at home. Chlorine dioxide was discovered by Sir Humphrey Davy when he added sulfuric acid to potassium chloride. His discovery was used for the first time in 1944 to solve taste and odor issues in a water treatment plant at Niagara Falls, New York. Hundreds of municipal water systems across the United States and Europe converted to chlorine dioxide in the early 70s. The reason behind this conversion was due to the safer environmental profile of chlorine dioxide over chlorine. It is much more soluble in water and doesn't produce carcinogenic byproducts from the water impurities it's supposed to destroy. In the early 2000s, chlorine dioxide proved to be an important disinfectant for public crises. It was used as a decontamination agent in the anthrax attacks of 2001. The spores of Bacillus anthracis caused a life-threatening disease, anthrax, in victims. The choice of chlorine dioxide is due to its established sporicidal and sterilizing properties. 5 years later, it was used to eradicate mold and mildew from homes flooded by Hurricane Katrina. Much like its use in the anthrax crisis, chlorine dioxide was tested against H1N1 and SARS coronavirus 2, both respiratory infections that have symptoms such as fever, cough, and fatigue that can be spread through close contact with an infected individual. In an experiment conducted by Seoul National University, a chlorine dioxide disinfectant stick known as Dr. Chloe was tested against the infectivity of the influenza A H1N1 virus and SARS coronavirus 2, what we now know as COVID-19. These two viruses were sprayed into two separate chambers that contained the disinfectant stick. The results of this study show that after a period of only 5 minutes, there were no viruses detected in the chambers. The efficacy of the disinfectant stick was examined at different intervals for a period of 60 minutes. Based on analysis, pathogens were still effectively being eradicated in the presence of the disinfectant stick in the chamber even after 2 hours of being activated. Just as carbon is different from carbon dioxide, chlorine dioxide is very different from chlorine, both in its chemical structure and its behavior. This false association between chlorine and chlorine dioxide brought about the myth that chlorine dioxide gas depletes the ozone layer as chlorine gas does. This triggered an uproar among environmentalists. While there are similarities between chlorine and chlorine dioxide, such as their smell, they have very different chemical properties. In the presence of sunlight, chlorine dioxide breaks down on its own through natural processes that occur in the environment. Fast forward to the present. Chlorine dioxide has rapidly gained popularity in the food processing industry. It is used as a fumigant to sanitize and extend the shelf life of fruits and vegetables that develop molds and yeast. It is also used to disinfect poultry by spraying or immersing it prior to processing. The World Health Organization guidelines cited Professor Abdel Rahman, a pharmacology professor from Egypt, on his research about chlorine dioxide. Based on this research, chlorine dioxide decomposes through oxidation and reduction reactions that occur with saliva and stomach contents. Since most of the water and food that we consume are treated with chlorine dioxide, don't you think the myths surrounding it may be a little exaggerated? In fact, even some non-alcohol based mouthwash and toothpaste that we use every day contains chlorine dioxide. In the age of the internet, when information of all kinds is easily accessible, it's hard to imagine that so many myths and misconceptions can exist. Of course, too much of anything is no good, whether it's food, supplements, or even exercise. There's wisdom behind the old saying, the dose makes the poison. So what are your thoughts on chlorine dioxide?